Well, hello there, and welcome to episode 15 of Cold Beers and Curveballs. I am Chase Alley, and actually sitting next to me today is Corey Stevens.
Oh, actually sitting next to you.
Yeah, we're actually at a place where we have to sit next to each other, which is a little awkward. But, it happens from time to time.
So where are we at?
We are at 84 Point Craft Coffee.
Oh, that is in the title, isn't it?
Yeah, in Anniston, Texas. It's owned by Ascension Coffee.
It's a happening place.
It is happening, man. It is so happening. And they've got the lovely ladies up there making us the coffee and selling me Mexican Coke. And I don't mean of the Kenya kind, I mean of the Coca-Cola kind.
I'm dead.
Oh, yeah, Corey, So, a lot to get into today. Some controversy happened last night. We've got the Rangers Blue Jays deal going on. We've got the Nationals blowing a lead against the Marlins. We got the Mets guy talking about a lot of things that he shouldn't on. We got the College World Series heating up, and really kind of looks like it's cooling down for Corey because his two teams really just kind of not even wanting to show up once they get to Omaha.
As it always happens.
Oh, yeah. So let's go ahead and we'll get into the Texas Rangers and the Toronto Blue Jays, which the last time they met was a lackluster performance. Both teams kind of on the down end in their division and in their leagues. Toronto still hanging out dead last. Rangers hanging out at third, but it doesn't matter because Houston still has 12-game lead over everybody in that division. So if you want to get started, buddy, let's go ahead. That means you take it away.
You said Houston, and you were looking for the all you do is
Oh,
win
no, I wasn't
sound.
looking for the sound. The sound's not in the clip this week because, so...
I'm just tired of talking about him. No, tonight, Nick Martinez versus Francisco Liriano for the Rangers, kind of the fifth starters, so to speak. But we'll see if it's a good game. Last night, offenses exploded in the fourth inning. Rangers got 5 that inning. They already had 1. And the Blue Jays got 4 that inning, and they already had 1. So it was a 6-5 game. Going into the bullpen got good work. Everything was trucking along 6-5 all the way into the 9th inning, and Matt Bush decided to blow his 3rd lead of the year. He gave up a hit to the first batter with his high fastball, and it seemed like he didn't go back to it much. Bannister was mentioning it. The numbers just show that he used his off-speed and breaking stuff 13 of the next 15 pitches.
So where are we at with him? Like, I feel like people are being a little bit more caring and compassionate toward Bush, than they were Dyson. Like,
well, his 3 saves have not all come at the same time. It hasn't been like one total meltdown.
Right. Because there for a little while, I thought Dyson was the the baseball version of the Easter story. Like, everybody's like, "Woo, Dyson with the World Baseball Classic!" Kind of like the Passover when he rides through town on the donkey, and he gives up one, and everybody's like, "Crucify him!" And like they tried to hang him up with 2 thieves. But with Matt Bush,
dear.
you can't be mad at the convicted fella.
Well,
He's probably got some anger issues or something.
He does get a pass every time when he does something wrong. And when we really dive into talking about Matt Bush, it always gets brought up. It's like, well, we got to give him a break. He's only been in Major League Baseball for a few years now after his prison stint.
Yeah, but that's not my problem. That's not anybody's problem.
It does always get brought up. It is true. So, yeah, it's kind of a, I don't know, People say you should go with what got you there, and Matt Bush's fastball is his best pitch, but he didn't believe in it last night.
But was he in for a save situation?
Yeah, it was 6-5 in the 9th.
So he blew a save.
Yep.
I was looking to see if I could find his blown saves, but they don't have that down as a stat on.
Honestly, he was lucky to even only give up the 1 run or 2 runs. Yeah, so 7-6. He had bases loaded with like 1 out, so he was really struggling there. The Rangers went 3 up, 3 down, I think, in the 9th. They couldn't really come back.
They had runners. They had a couple of. They had a runner on, but yeah, nothing happened.
Yeah, so that was last night, but Austin Bibbins, Dirks, the Rangers pitcher, who's been pitching well lately. He went 5 innings. He gave up 5 runs, but he did have more. I mean, he had 5 strikeouts and 1 walk. I think it was a totally respectable outing, especially for somebody who's not been in the majors for long, and he just got called up maybe a month or two ago. He had a few good relief outings. His star was the brightest the day he faced off against Max Scherzer.
Right.
And managed to get 19 straight outs and managed to outduel Max Scherzer. So
I feel like pitchers though sometimes, they get these 1 or 2 good outings and everybody's like, oh boy, here we go, and then I feel like the build up for them is so much bigger than what they really are. Like there's sometimes that a player just has a lineup, like that's just kind of how they are. Like if you look at some teams like the Mets playing like shit right now, and last night they were cranking them out against against Kershaw and the Dodgers. Like
right.
it's
Kershaw
just
gave up 4
kind of
home runs, I think.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think Austin Bibbins Dirks, right now will ride the hot streak that he has. Will ride his quality starts, but it's not something I would look for in longevity with that. With that arm motion and things like that, you can kind of tell the later on he goes in the innings, the more comfortable people get with it, because all that
because
is
they get used
learning.
to seeing it,
they learn that release.
Devin Cirque is a member of the Sidearm Nation. Like he's one of those sidearm pitchers, and I think it's just mostly it's a good story right now. His career path doesn't really suggest that he's going to be a great major league pitcher for 5 years. But if he gives you 1/2 of a season, that's great. Then you take it.
I think Bibbins Dirks could honestly benefit from maybe spending a little bit more time and maybe developing even a lower release point on his sidearm. I feel like he could become a Darren O'Day type player. Somebody who may become a setup man, or somebody, your 7th, 8th, and 9th innings.
You never know that. You never know if something happens next year and he's not quite doing very well. Then he might tweak that delivery a little bit more. But I don't think we touched on it too much.
We'll see that before the end of this season, because Hamels is back within the next week or so.
Sure, yes, and that is good news. Probably, I think he's pitching for Double-A tomorrow.
Right, and so you'll have Darvish, you'll have Hamels, you'll have Tyson Ross, you'll have AJ Griffin.
No, he's still gone. I mean, he's around the quarter.
Yeah, and then we'll have Cashner back.
Cashner's
here. Yeah,
Cashner should be back, and Nick Martinez might not be pitching those spot starts. We'll still have the one guy that we missed. Sorry.
Yeah, the name just blanked. That's exactly where he's at. But yeah, I think we'll see.
Martin Perez.
Yeah, Martin Perez will be probably might be one of those spot start long relievers down the line.
He's not going to lose his spot. I'd be okay with that. But
he's a 5th starter at best.
The reason that it's even talked about is that Tyson Ross is back, and Tyson Ross had a great game to start, so that was encouraging news. I mean, I don't think we need to place him firmly in the number 2/number 3 spot yet, but he had great stuff. He hasn't pitched in a while. He's been injured for a long time, but his break-in pitch was filthy, and he had a good outing.
I think they also need to, when they go in, they'll more than likely tell Perez whatever their decision is on that. This is temporary. We've got two rentals and a guy that's not coming back in Darvish. I don't see Darvish coming back. I think it'll be something where Martin Perez will be maybe moved into a spot start long reliever back in the bullpen.
I think Griffin's the one who gets the shaft, actually. Like I think if you have Darvish, Hamels, Ross, Cashner, Perez. Anyway, it remains to be seen. Rangers haven't had a healthy rotation for the entire year.
Right.
So
No
we're just enjoying.
no action last night in the game. No, what people are hoping for to happen with these
beanballs
with
and
these.
punches.
Yeah, and I think like MLB has pretty much gotten rid of that's going to happen for these series. Also, you're sitting at second with 12 games behind your division, and then you're dead last. Like, I mean, these really, honestly, for these two teams should be the games that really get them fired up because, I mean,
Right.
let's face it, Toronto's done. Unless just something happens. I know.
Toronto's got the same record as the Rangers.
Yes. Yeah.
So they could get in the wild card spot. Just
They
as
may
well
get
as-
into a wild. Yeah, there could be a one-game playoff
you're saying-
between. But I'm saying as far as like playing for a division right now, playing for anything, when you're 12 games back and the other, Toronto's only 5 games back.
Okay, you just said Toronto. You meant Texas.
Yeah, Texas
okay,
is
yeah,
12 games back. Toronto's 5 games back.
I'm-
So you have to think for just a second, like these 2 games right here. This may be something that can get you guys fired back up if you get fired up in these games.
Yeah.
And it might be something good for the fans because I'll tell you, the times that I've been watching the Rangers this season, there ain't a lot of asses in the seat. We're down to almost having to do minor league giveaways to try to get people. It's starting to look like the
There are a lot of
Mavericks around.
giveaways, so aren't there?
There's always a giveaway at the ballpark.
Well,
Hell, Wednesday's dollar hot dog night every time.
Every
Unless you're
time.
playing the Yankees and then they
Every
jack the
time.
price back up. They don't tell you until you've already bought 5 hot dogs.
yeah. No,
Linda.
That is a good segue into a look around the standings. So there's a great little graphical look that's been made, and it shows you just how close the AL Central and NL Central are. No team really wants to run away with it. Teams like the Reds have seemingly decided to just lose it, and teams like the Royals, who were at the bottom of their division the entire year, come back a little bit, but those division races have been really tight, so it's interesting to watch. Even the Cubs, a few games under the Brewers,
NL
and
Central,
we're not sure.
it's who can stay below 500 is the
Right,
competition
that's the
right
race.
now. It's like, and the thing is the Cardinals a couple weeks back, their GM had a conversation that, hey, you guys need to get your shit together because
And they didn't really do that.
well, they started to win. They started to pull
For-
things together. But they're still not looking that great. They're on a 2-game losing streak at this point. The last 10 games they've split 500.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
No, I mean it's not the most. It's a tight race, but it's not the most compelling baseball because it's all a race for a .499 win percentage. Like they're all just hanging out under 500, so it's not really the most compelling. The race that is most compelling to me is the NL West, and you have the Dodgers and the Rockies and the Arizona Diamondbacks all playing incredibly well, challenging Houston for best record in baseball. Incredibly hot, all of them. And essentially, the way that shakes out is if one of them wins the division and the other two get the wild card, as long as none of them completely melt down, then they have an easy path. They've got a 20-game lead over the next, or something close to that, over the next wild card, 10-game lead, but 20 games above 500. Over the next best wild card team in the NL.
right?
So
Yeah, you've got
they can coast.
Arizona has an 8.5 game lead over Chicago for the last wild card spot.
They can basically coast. Look, I know that's a terrible mindset, but it's like you can prioritize healthiness over really fighting hard for this wild card spot.
Right.
And just have that mindset that the playoffs is all that matters when you're halfway through the season and you're kind of like the Cleveland Cavaliers and you're just coasting because you're just all about the finals.
Exactly.
So they're just, they've really got themselves a large lead.
It's great. West Coast baseball is finally back. It used
There
to
you
just
go.
be, the Dodgers and the Giants. the Giants,
Giants are in a
the
race
Giants
for
have got to
last.
be, Giants GM's got to be Yoko Ono, and he's got to break up the Beatles here because it's looking like a joke out there. It was every other year you knew they were going to the World Series and win the damn
Right.
thing, and now you're sitting here wondering, well, should they even show up today?
Right.
Matt Cain's done.
Yeah.
Samardzija, done.
Yeah.
Bumgarner, dumb and done. Like, it's over with. Quit robbing Buster Posey of his best years. It's exactly like the Angels are with Trout. Quit robbing them of their best years. Get them somewhere where they can win. And I wouldn't go too far to wonder if during this offseason that's asked.
Yeah.
Hey, can you sell me?
Yeah.
Put me somewhere where I can win.
Yeah.
Because they don't have anything coming up the farm system either. Both of them.
Yeah, definite possibility. So the last but not least was the AL Central, and we got a lot of teams right around 500. That was actually looks like a good race. You could have Royals, Twins, Indians, maybe the White Sox could get hot, but that's probably unlikely. The Tigers are in it, but I don't know if the Tigers have the talent.
Tigers are at a 3-7. They're
In the last 10.
of the last 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like they won 7 straight, but that went down the tube. 8-2. Kansas City finally coming up with a record on the 10 wins. They had that winning streak of 2 there.
They were terrible for
Cleveland's-
most of the year, and Kansas City seems to have got their shit together.
Cleveland's back. Cleveland. Terry
Decided to go,
Francona is just a great manager. He's managed his team, and he's really instilled in them. Hey, let's focus on what we have. Let's focus on the positive. Things will come around, and so that's where it's at.
Yeah. Well, another way we can look around is at the home run standings for baseball this year.
Right.
And at the top, we got a lot of young names. Now, names like Mike Trout and let's see, like Ryan Zimmerman's up there. John Carlos Stan's up there. So those stars have been good for a while, but they're still young players. But like this year, Aaron Judge, AL, Rookie of the Year, honestly, an MVP candidate in the AL. He's leading the all of MLB with 23. And then Cody Bellinger, the Dodgers called him up halfway through the month of May, I think. Or could have been before that, but it was a few weeks into the season. Dodgers called Cody Bellinger up, and that was definitely the right move. He is ready. He's hitting 21 home runs already. Looks like a pace of something like 45, 42. And he's tearing it up, and he's a Rookie of the Year candidate too over in the NL.
I actually got to watch. So the Dodgers have bought out the Oklahoma market for minor league baseball. Their AAA is the Oklahoma City Dodgers, and the Tulsa Drillers is their AA. And my parents live just north of Tulsa, so we made a couple of trips out to the ball game. And Cody Bellinger, even at that level, you could tell it's not going to be much longer, and he's going to be at the majors.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he gets the call up. Really great guy, really, really great ball player, and I don't think they expected it, but it's kind of like a Yasiel Puig thing. They called Puig up a few seasons ago, and he blew up. He didn't make the All-Star ballot because they called him up so late, but he should have been on there.
Cody didn't really strike me as having that power hitter build yet.
Right.
Still looks a little young. Maybe
he just
needs
has
to
a great swing.
Put some muscle on his body. But so we got rookies leading both leagues in home runs. We got Justin Smoke, very close, young first baseman, former Rangers for the Blue Jays, with 20 home runs. And Joey Gallo hasn't been getting a lot of playing time lately, or at least hasn't been hitting the ball crazy good lately, but he's still got 18 home runs. And Gallo isn't a rookie because I think he played too much last year. But Gallo is still a very young player. So it's very good. To me, it's good to see the power hitting coming from young guys because...
Justin Smoke's 30, though. So, I mean...
He's 30?
He's finally coming out. He's December 5th, 1986.
I apologize, guys.
That is
Justin
not young
Smoke
at all.
is
That's
not
where
young.
he's finally
He
getting
used
in
to
his
be-
prime.
Okay. I stand corrected. But, no, I mean, it's good to see home runs. It's good to see him coming from good young talent.
Right.
And speaking of home runs, if we look at the numbers this year, Major League Baseball is on pace to shatter the home run record for a single season. So last year was almost the most ever, at 5,600 basically. This year we're on pace for 6,100. And so it has led to some talk about the baseballs being juiced. Maybe the seams aren't as big and the pitchers aren't getting the best break, but I don't really see that. Maybe maybe the diameter of the baseball has changed a tiny bit and it's flying differently. But the pace for home runs, we're halfway through the season.
Here's another thing that you also have to think about too, is if you look at the ballparks that are getting the most home runs.
Sure.
You have to look at the climate and the environment that they're in. It's like the other night, ESPN was playing the Father's Day game,
Mm-hmm.
Boston Red Sox against the Astros.
Yeah.
The ball just sailed in that building with their
Yeah.
retractable roof. I feel like when they put that roof on down there, that really helps that ball cut
Yeah.
through there, because that air down there is humid and muggy.
Right.
You're not going to get the same lift as you are at Coors Field
Right.
up in Denver, where the ball just travels like nobody's
Yeah,
business.
and honestly, when the Rangers were playing the Astros just the other day, I can't remember. They had it was the last game of that series, and the Rangers just got killed. They scored like 8 runs in the last few innings. But there were some of those hits to the Crawford boxes that just barely got over, and those are outs in the Rangers ballpark. So,
Right.
I mean, that's definitely not really a
Well, and then once you
pitcher's
get out there in those
paradise.
garage doors out in
in left center.
out in left center, it's a little harder to hit. There's some balls that'll get hit out there that anywhere
For
else
sure,
would be
because it's
out.
a real high wall.
Right. And that's the same thing with Arizona too. And you have to look at these teams who are just offensive powerhouses right now, who are playing these home games and they're cranking these home runs out.
Yeah.
It's nothing anymore for there to be 4 or 5 home runs in a game.
Yeah.
I think the build of the pitchers I think the build of the hitters is changed tremendously.
Yeah.
Where they're there's so much more power. Stanton's hitting 500
Yeah.
feet home runs. Plus your pitchers are throwing a lot harder.
Yeah.
It's 93, 94 mile an hour fastballs
Yeah.
from your starting pitcher.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, I think
it's a combination of factors, sure.
well, yeah. If you've watched any type of tennis as well, when you have a person like Andy Roddick that serves the ball, a lot of times what the person that's receiving the ball on the other side of the court, he's not going to put a full swing into
Yeah,
it.
of
He's
course.
going to use that momentum generated off the ground to get the ball back deep.
Yeah.
So if you think of it in that same realm where, okay, I'm going to do exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm going to use that velocity off
Yes.
the pitcher, I think that's
And
why
just-
the velocity on the bat's gone up, because the bats haven't changed.
Yeah.
There's nothing different that they're
the
doing.
exit velocity has been great. I mean, I think it comes from a few incredibly talented hitters that those exit velocity numbers. But,
Right.
I
And you
think
can't, use,
also
you can't
hitters.
use the argument of players are going to longer, heavier bats, because George Springer's hitting with Mookie Betts' bat. now.
Sure, but I think there may be a little mindset shift about the sabermetric look into like how to we're just working on the launch angles, making sure that like more good things can happen when you get to the outfield, things about that. But honestly, I think the rate jump this year and last half of last year has been so dramatic that really it may defy just a normal explanation that we need to say that it could be the balls.
Right.
Just because we're talking about last year, most home runs ever in a season, 5,600, 5,600, 5,500, 5,400, right? Is basically, and last year was right in there. The year 2000 and 2001 were kind of high water marks. But we're looking to shatter second place by like 500 home runs. So that's pretty crazy. If we're gonna move along and talk about a funny moment in the Mets Nationals game, I don't think Chase is done with the home run talk.
Oh no, I am totally done. Continue on. Yeah. So.
Mets Nationals game, we had the TV analyst for the Mets. He was commenting on Tanner Rourke, who had really been getting lit up, and TV came back from commercial a little early, and we had an awkward moment there.
Yeah, definitely. So Keith Hernandez was quoting about Tanner Rourke that he's really been getting his tits lit lately, and that ended up on the air, which happens from time to time.
Seems like conversation that's not quite the same professional level that he'd normally hold himself to.
Right. I remember a couple of times with Tom Grieve back with the Rangers. Tom Grieve was busted talking shit about the pay that he was getting from Fox Sports Southwest on air. But yeah, definitely can see an apology coming out today about someone's tits getting lit up is usually not something that is usually very friendly. Almost seems like a comment that would be reserved for a Chicago White Sox broadcast. That guy, he has no filter.
Mets, White Sox, same thing.
It's pretty much the same thing. Chicago white trash, no one cares about. Which, I mean, honestly, if we're going to stay in that realm of talking Chicago sports, that's where the big controversy for the day comes in. So last night during the
Padres-Cubs game.
Yes, the Padres-Cubs game. Anthony Rizzo made kind of it was
an awkward slide.
It was an awkward slide against Austin Hedges, the catcher. So basically what happened was Chris Bryant hit a ball out to center field. It was a line drive shot. Center field caught the ball. Rizzo tagged up. Rizzo was out by about 2-3 steps. He established his baseline on the inside of the base path and ran
smack into the catcher.
He didn't run smack into him. He kind of slid like an awkward slide to buffer himself from running into him full speed. We know 2014, after the Buster Posey incident, they try to fix it to where you can't run into the pitcher, the catcher. The catcher has to give you a lane. You have to give the catcher a lane. Watching this, playing the position, I saw what it was. He was behind the plate,
Look, I think the main problem is if Rizzo had never slid, he would have had so much room and he would have tagged that base and he would have been in.
But here's,
I mean, I know that you don't.
Rizzo was saying that he made the decision so that he didn't hurt himself and he didn't hurt Hedges. If he says that he feels
did hurt Hedges and he left the game.
He left the game, but he's okay. He's going to be back the next game. It was a precautionary deal. He's like, I have to look out for my own. He also made the statement in the interview after the game that he's talked to umpires about this whole new rule since 2014. And basically what they're saying is that rule is there to protect a receiving catcher who is receiving the ball. Basically, you can't plow through them. But if they've got the ball and they're coming at you, it's fair game, is what he's been told around the league. So Green, the Padres manager, and Hedges are both saying that it was a cheap shot. Rizzo's saying, I'm looking out for myself. Madden saying, hey, he's looking out for himself. I didn't see anything wrong with it. There's a lot of people trying to say that he moved inward to, I know there's a Reddit post about him moving in. Here's the thing. He didn't move in. The way that he was sliding, if you look at his foot path down the first base or down the third baseline, it did not change at all with where his knee would have ended up in a normal slot.
What I see mostly from the angles and the still shots and looking at the play is that the back half of the plate was open for him. It didn't look like he was sliding at the plate. It looks like, why are you going to the front half of the plate when the back half was wide open and the catcher's foot was on the first base front
You're
side?
going to do that for if there is contact, you may be able to lock that ball loose.
But it looked like there was lots of room. And it looks like, honestly, it looked like he goes in. If he goes in hard and he gets his hand in there first, he's safe. And instead, he's right on the catcher. it just didn't.
He's out by two. He's out by 2 steps. He's gonna get him either way.
No,
like he's gonna
like he had a chance.
The way that
looks like a stupid decision.
If you look at it, his best option is to run into him. Yes, the rules doesn't get away from contact with it.
Right.
If you move hedges up 5 inches to the front half of the plate for the play, he's right on the line, blocking a direct path for Rizzo to slide in. The fact that he's on the back half of that plate, I don't think that's really that much to think about, but it was definitely a play that's on the iffy side.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything dirty about it. If he wanted to be dirty about it, he wouldn't have even attempted to lower into a slide. He would have lowered his shoulder and taken him out.
Take him out. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it looks like there's enough talk about it. He could end up getting fined a little bit. But I think one of the big takeaways is the rule is still confusing.
The rule is confusing.
And same with the slides into second. We're wondering, do we draw a really hard line at all contact? And we need to be saying that, if the runner is not taking every possible step to avoid contact, then it's his fault. Do we need to look at it fairly and place some of the blame at where the catcher sets up? It's just whether or not he was chasing the ball in that direction, or if the ball was already in one spot and he moved in and went for the hard contact. So it's just it still seems kind of questionable. It still seems kind of muddy. Rizzo going off of what he heard from umpire and this, that, and the other, and Madden saying one thing and the Padres manager saying the other thing. So we'll see. But it was definitely the talk of the town last night.
Right. It was definitely something. I do kind of want to go back to that whole home run thing that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So I pulled up a stat here from Hit Tracker Online, and out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 parks that are at over 100
home runs already. Yeah.
Over 100 home runs already. 1, 2.
You're saying warm weather?
No.
Yeah, or no?
I'm saying 3 of them are in domes with the most home runs. And there's only one that is what you would consider a warm, humid climate that's over 100, and that would be the Rangers Globe Life at 105 home runs. Everything else is up in that cool, dry air, and I think a lot of that has to do with
I just feel like those are the stadiums don't change dramatically. That's your typical year-to-year fluctuation. Suddenly Globe Life is the most home runs in a year, and suddenly then it's back in the middle of the pack or something like that.
Right.
But
and they do. A lot of guys talk about ballpark in Arlington being they have that jet stream that comes in.
That part seemed to be fixed a little bit. We still got some friendly some dimensions there, but I think most of the conversation happened from a story a week ago on The Ringer, which was talking about whether so just the intro, whether or not it's Scooter Gennett going deep 4 times in one game, or if it's a one-handed home run from Chris Carter, or if it's Marwin Gonzalez surprising himself with a home run, or 7 grand slams on one day. This year, we've had a constant reminder that we are looking at unprecedented power hitting right now in baseball. We've got 2,400 home runs so far this year, which puts them on pace to break the all-time single-season record of 5,690 set in 2000. Break that by almost 350. Whoops, I got some malfunctions on the equipment. No, so just looking at the batted ball, the rate, home runs per at-bat or home runs per batted ball. So in the year 2000, we got a spike. But this in 2016 was pretty high too. But we seem to be trying to shatter that even more. But the home run rate has been going up very steadily since the 60s. So it's just been climbing and climbing. We had some dry years in the 70s, maybe 90s had a spike, 2000. But so we gotta enjoy this. We gotta enjoy this power hitting. what it's looking at is that
Right now, domes own 12% of the home runs hit this season.
sure,
12%.
even though they are what percent of total stadiums?
With a roof capability, you've got
Yeah, so you
Tropicana,
just don't
Rogers
know.
Center.
You'd have to break down the game per game with the minute
Right,
cadence.
but I'm just saying, like your
Yeah.
highest 115 is at Miller Park.
Yeah.
Well,
and they also had
they have
Eric
things
Thames,
there,
who
yeah.
was leading.
I'm
the
saying
home
that
run,
you can't
right.
judge that by what's going on or whatnot, but it is definitely
Yeah.
something to look at.
I think it's just a good article to look at, this Ringer article, because it talks about how it happened after the All-Star break in 2015, that like the season's first half and the season's second half was the largest increase we've had in 60 years. And then the exit velocity seemed to be going up, and it's like maybe the juiciness of the ball itself has explained that. So we'll look into that another time. We had a little bit of the College World Series stuff we wanted to talk about. The Texas A&M TCU game is going on right now. Those teams both lost, so they're playing for their lives. LSU Florida State was a really great game that I watched the other night. LSU had a run on first, and it was like Little League ball happened all of a sudden. The ball got into outfield, the ball got thrown into third base, it was a miss. The ball got thrown home, it was a miss. Like every single Florida State player who touched it seemed to be dropping it, and LSU scored their go-ahead run on some great base running there.
Right.
So it was good to watch, but then they ended up getting demolished by Oregon State yesterday.
Of course. Yeah, it was. That was definitely, no one was gooksing Tigers there. It was a 4-0 lead, and then the first time this has ever happened was Oregon State hits a grand slam.
First time ever in that ballpark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hits a grand slam, makes it 8-0 in. Honestly, Oregon State fans didn't even really cheer. It just, the whole bottom dropped out, and you saw just every face of everybody that, this is going to be a bad outcome. And I believe it was 11-0 was the final score.
So, or 11, I think 11
definitely no post-game crawfish boil going on up there. And LSU's fans travel well, so now they're going to have to win 3 games to make it to the championship.
Yeah, so LSU would be rematching against Florida State tomorrow.
Right.
If they win, then they would play Oregon State, who is just waiting on the winner of that game.
Right.
Well, so that would be a rematch. But then if they beat Oregon State would have their first loss, and they would have to play them for the 3rd time.
Right.
So that'd be pretty remarkable.
And Oregon State's just on fire. In college baseball,
it's about who's feeling it in that year.
I haven't, I don't watch a lot of college baseball, which is bad on my part, not knowing people who are getting signed out of college baseball and things like that. But college baseball has such a weird, it's still very much, I get it, it's small ball, it's dirty, it's gritty, but you've got a batter, the leadoff batter for Oregon State shows bunt the first pitch every time. He bunted on for a leadoff single, for a leadoff hit. It's not really what you're looking for. I think
if that's the niche that he fills, if he's
But a lot of times there's not a bunt.
Like
There's not a
league players.
There's not a bunt call though.
Sure.
Every once in a while they'll show one just to kind of be like, all right.
Yeah,
you may want to expect that. And I know there's a lot of coaches that are really pushing for more bunts. But these guys are, it's becoming such a joke. They'll hit a home run in the first inning, and they're sitting there ready at the plate. No, they're at the plate. All the team is at the plate ready to congratulate him like it's a walk-off run. Dude, you've got 8 more innings. And I watched the first, weekend of the World Series this past Saturday, Sunday. And there were times the lead changed.
Yeah.
There was Cal State Fullerton was up. and they lost. Like, you can't get
I
this.
think that's just promoting that team first environment. Like everyone's got to support everybody.
It's becoming softball, man.
You don't want it to go there.
It's becoming such a, they've got these chants now. Like, yeah, it's entertaining. There's some of it that's kind of funny. The guy that had the fake radar gun that he was holding up, that he made out of the Powerade cups, that's funny, but you're almost starting to make a mockery of baseball, it seems, at some point.
Just because they're getting excited about it?
It's not that they're getting excited. It's
I mean,
what
this
they're
is
getting
what
excited
they played
about.
for the entire year. This is their World Series.
This is their World Series. This is their tournament. But I think that it's something that we're going to have to look at in the realm of, I understand a lot of these guys aren't going to get drafted, but there's guys that are going to go in.
Right.
How are we going to facilitate
a lot of them, yeah.
teaching them the game of baseball the way that, hey, this is what's going to be
the way it should be played?
Yes.
Okay, but here's the thing. I think you like to say in the professional leagues, act like you've been there before. Some of these players have not been there before. Like maybe, okay, sure, they were obviously going to be talented high schoolers and whatnot, and maybe they won, state championships, and maybe they didn't. But depending on how many, what the success their team has had in the last couple of years in their college career, this is the pinnacle of their sports career in their lives so far. Is it okay to get excited about a home run?
It is excited to be.
They haven't been there before. They're super excited.
But to me, it's kind of like it's one of those things that me as an opposing.
You're just a grumpy cat.
No, me as an opposing pitcher, like you do that right there.
You want to beat them?
I'm gonna show you up real quick. I mean, I think like what they're getting excited for and everything is just instilling more fire in that opposing team. I don't know. I just could not hardly get into it.
Yeah.
I've been watching it. I think the A&M TCU game today will be a fairly matched game.
Yeah, and actually it's through 3. It looks like a TCU 2-0 lead right now.
2-0, okay.
So we might go watch that in a second. It looks like Louisville and Florida play tonight.
Right.
Louisville beat A&M and Florida beat TCU, obviously.
Yes.
And that's all for College World Series. There's definitely some good games. We'll encourage you to go watch those the rest of the week.
Yeah, this will start wrapping up here pretty quick, and we'll get into that championship finals.
We have the one important thing.
We
left
do
on
have
this
the one
episode.
important thing left, and it is Tebow time.
Our God is greater, our God is stronger, God, you are higher than any other. Our God is healer, awesome in power.
So yeah, Tim Tebow. So Tebow, the video surfaced around. I'm sure anybody that follows baseball has watched it, where he swung for a pitch, threw the ball about 28. Threw the bat up in the air, 28 rows. It looked like in Charleston when Columbia showed up. What didn't make the story until later on was the complete trolling that Columbia, which apparently is known for this. Charleston. Yeah, Charleston was doing of Columbia. Apparently, they're very much into this, and this is typical Charleston. The background for the Jumbotron, the background picture they had behind all the players was the crying Tebow from his Florida days with the John 3:16 eye black, and all of the players' names were scratched out and said probably not Tebow, which made it great. And then they got the bat from the fan who Tim Tebow almost took out with it, and they made a post on Facebook or Twitter saying fan gave it back to us for firewood. He's not going to need it. So it's definitely becoming what all of these clubs are starting to realize is, let's make our money, let's make things off of, because that's all this is a traveling circus. This is like when Terrell Owens played for the Allen Wranglers in arena football. He didn't play anything but the other games because they were paying him. It's becoming a spectacle. Now they're saying, oh, he'll make it up to AA. He'll make his rounds, but he's still not a good player. So definitely, Tim Tebow, if you ever hear this show, he'll be a knuckleball pitcher.
Get it together.
Get it together and just quit. That's all you have to do is quit. So that should wrap
Tebow's
up.
not a quitter.
Tebow's
Stop
not a
it.
quitter. He's not a quitter. But no, that's going to wrap up the show today. We will have some more trade deadline news coming up as we watch what's going on in the trade deadline, and then we will also hit on some other big news that happens as it goes along. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, Cold Beers and Curveballs, Twitter, CB and CB Podcast. We're on Reddit, and we will.
There's been a lot of new Facebook fans, so we
Yeah,
appreciate those.
thank you. So definitely check it out. Listen to us. We're on SoundCloud. We're on iTunes. And we're on TuneIn Radio, which also has some other great baseball things if you're looking for, and you can listen to your out-of-market games. We're going to get Mitchell Bat Company on soon, Huntington Baseball Company. Definitely check them out. Sidearm Nation, we wanted to thank him for last week.
Yep.
And 84 Point Coffee from Ascension in
hosting us
Addison.
today.
Yeah. So thanks for coming along with us, and we will check you guys later. But drink more beer and watch more baseball.